Hey guys, it's Kent Davis with Panama Equity Real Estate, and today I'm going to talk to you about why Panama is still one of the cheapest places in the world to live. I'm going to tell you about what's inexpensive in Panama and what is surprisingly actually a little bit more expensive in Panama than compared to places like Europe, the United States, and parts of South America. So let's get started. As far as what is still cheap in Panama, I would say we're still winning if you know where to go to eat. Now, of course, you have to kind of live like a local because you can absolutely overpay or at least pay kind of premium pricing if you go to really fancy restaurants, if you drink top shelf wine, if you smoke the nicest cigars, but you can still get by, especially in the interior of the country, at some fantastic restaurants for what? $12 an entree, if that. I mean, golly, half that really if you're going to a local spot. We call them fondas. So food and eating out, wine and alcohol in general is definitely cheaper than a lot of places. That's a result of the taxes. There's not a lot of taxes in Panama on alcohol. So food and eating out can be very cheap, can also be very expensive. That's kind of nice about Panama, right? You've got a nice spectrum of options for dining. Now, grocery stores. So grocery stores, of course, local produce for the most part is pretty inexpensive. Things like pineapples, fresh vegetables, fish caught recently from local waters, and generally locally produced things like rice and oil and salt and everything that's in the basic food basket. Now you are going to pay for imported products like that imported cheese that you love, or, a special bottle of wine, or really any kind of, a lot of this stuff is imported, actually. Some of it is very expensive, some of it is not, but overall, family of four, we spend about $125 a week on groceries. We can go a little cheap. We can go a lot cheaper if we wanted to. I think the average, it's called La Canasta Básica, the average food basket. They set an allowance for Panamanian families, and I believe these days it's about $250 to $300 a month, and that's for like a big family, and that is, it's a little tricky when the minimum wage is around $650 a month, but there's always ways. And one of those ways is shopping super local, i.e. at fruit stands, vegetable stands. Out in the country, you get seasonal availability like mangoes. You can buy a bag of mangoes for like $1 from the guy that just picked them up off the ground, right? I mean, that's real, and that happens. Same thing from the fishermen right off of the boat. So, you get those opportunities. You just got to know where to look. Taxis are pretty cheap, transportation in general. Also, when it comes to services like plumbing, electrical, and mechanical work, that is, I've found, a lot cheaper than places like the US and even Europe. Sometimes the quality isn't as good, but you get what you pay for, right? You can hire a top-notch technician and you'll pay top-notch prices, or you pay a guy and, he leaves a little paint on the ground or kind of sloppy when he's leaving. But hey, you deal with it because it is what it is. What else? Movies, movies these days, of course, when we're doing this, we're in the middle of the pandemic. So, movie theaters at one point were very inexpensive when they were all open. Now some of them are closed. They'll open again. We got the vaccine, little bit of it. So yeah, I mean, like we generally pay, I think it's $6 a ticket for movies. So that's a lot cheaper than in the States. And you do get really first rate, film experience with the nice screen and the good sound. So yeah, so you have that as far as movies. So I sell real estate. Let's talk about real estate for a second. Of course, it depends on where you're coming from, right? So is it cheap? Is it not? So in the city, rentals, you can get by these days, $800 gets you a 1, even 2 bedroom, nicely furnished apartment. Maybe it'll be 100 meters, which is about 1,100 square feet. That's per month. Then your other expenses are going to be internet, comparable to the US, say $40 a month for good, 10 up, 10 down speed. You've also got, electricity, which is a range. I think we're at 19 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a little expensive compared to certain parts of the States, really cheap compared to Europe. So it all depends. Also depends on your threshold and how breezy your apartment is. There's that. Real estate on the purchasing side, well, again, it's all relative, right? A place like Pedesi, you can get a awesome little house, no apartments yet in Pedesi. You can get an awesome little kind of cottage style, 1,200 square feet, 3 bedrooms on a nice little piece of land for like $150,000, right? You ride your bike to the ocean. You pick up your fresh fish from your vendor. You go to the local market. So it's all in what you make it, versus you can be in a place like Santa Maria, Costa del Este, Punta Pacifica, any of these sort of higher end neighborhoods. Now, prices have come down. You can get some great deals out there, but you will still in general pay, let's call it between $1,600 to $2,000 per meter, which is about $150 to $180 per square foot for a nice condo. But that's a nice condo. That's with ocean views. That's with swimming pool and gym and a doorman and a couple covered parking spots and great neighbors and walk to the park. Ocean view, that's that. You can also get a mile inland where we live, for example, in El Cangrejo, a mile from the water. I still got that little sliver of ocean view, and in the apartment where we live, probably $1,400 a square meter, so about $130 a square foot, and that gets you a swimming pool. You walk to the gym, you walk to the grocery store, got that little sliver of ocean view. It's a nice view. We've got a nice city view from our place. But, so real estate, land prices can be really cheap, but land prices are kind of cheap everywhere if you know where to look, and, rural, undeveloped, you shouldn't pay more than a couple dollars a meter for something like that, at least in a large piece of land. In a gated community, maybe that starts at $15 per meter. Or what is that? $1.40 a square foot. So now you get an acre for $5,000. No, sorry. 4,200 times 15. I can't do the math that quickly. Yeah. 60 grand-ish, something like that. Yeah, and that's about right. A mountain town like Altos del Maria, for example, you are going to get basically like, a quarter acre, about 2,000 meters for about, in that case, it's 50,000. Altos is a little bit more expensive, $2,500, $25 per meter. So those are just some price points in a big market. It's always very relative as far as views, topography, quality of construction, amenities, all those different factors play in when you're looking at real estate. What else? Cost of living. So, insurance is cheap here because medical is cheap here because we don't have an issue of people suing litigiously. In other words, suing sort of for no reason. So insurance rates haven't gone through the roof because doctors don't have to have super high insurance to pay for their liability coverage, right? Versus in the States, versus in Canada, versus in Europe. So, medication depends. Sometimes it's a little bit more expensive. Sometimes it's similar. What else? Here's what's expensive. Surprisingly expensive. Furniture is kind of expensive in Panama. Go figure. What else is kind of expensive? Groceries can be kind of expensive too. Like if you go to the nice grocery stores like Reba Smith, you might pay, $2.50 for a pound of chicken breast. Whereas in the States, you get the deal at wherever, Kroger or Publix or wherever you're coming from, and maybe you can grab it for 99 cents, right? You shop the deals. Prices have come down slightly in Panama as a result of the pandemic. I think that's just supply-demand factors. What else? I mean, I love questions. You know, we always respond. So Panama is still cheap if you know how to live. Follow us to learn how to live in Panama. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. For more information, make sure to like and subscribe or visit PanamaEquity.com or just leave a comment. Thanks.